Well, hey guys, welcome back to the podcast video Q&A here. We've been doing this every month. We've gone through a lot of great topics. We've talked about Hashimoto's, thyroiditis. We've talked a lot about gallbladder and liver health, psoriasis, different skin issues in previous Q&A episodes. So you guys can check our archives so you can listen to those. We go through a lot of detail on those. And today, we will have a lot of great topics as well. So we're going to talk a lot about menopause. We're going to talk about weight gain, weight loss, right? And kind of how to set your nutrition properly if you're looking to lose weight, if you're looking to gain weight. So we're going to really cover that. And we've got some other exciting things as well. And so joining me is our rock star health coach, Tara Peterson. And so if you guys missed her episode, can't remember what number that was, but we talked all about GABA and anxiety.
Yeah.
We really went through that, and it was very, very popular. A lot of people wanted to know more about anxiety. We see that anxiety is, really high in our society today. And compounds like GABA, for example, a neurotransmitter, plays a really critical role, having good glutamate to GABA balance. So we talk about that in that podcast as well. So you can just look Tara up in our podcast or YouTube archives, and you can listen to that episode as well. Really great information there. But with that said, Tara, how are you doing today?
Doing great. Glad to be here. Glad to be able to answer some questions. And I imagine if you're listening and you wanted to know more about questions about yourself, this would be a great way to get that done.
Yeah, for sure. These are a lot, what's great about these Q&As is a lot of people have questions, but they either are not able to ask, or they're a little bit timid. They don't know when to ask, where to ask, or they didn't even know they had a question, right? But as we're answering it, it really helps them. And these are questions that have come into us from YouTube, right? So if you're, listening on our YouTube channel, you can ask questions and we'll put them on a sheet, right? That goes into these Q&As. Instagram as well. Just follow me, Dr. David Jockers, on Instagram. Follow me on Facebook, and you can ask questions there as well. And most likely it'll end up into one of these Q&As. So, and I know Tara, if you guys are interested in a great health coach, Tara works with people all over the world with a wide variety of health conditions. So you can just reach her at tara@drdavidjockers.com. And I know you're working with a lot of people. You're busy right now. What are some unique things you're seeing these days?
Yeah, so I'm working with a lot of women, a lot of thyroid issues, a lot of keto lifestyle that just providing accountability, but also tweaking into your daily life. So really being able to make that work in your daily life. So yeah, a lot of fun. I've got people all over the world right now, which is really fun just to meet. Every person has a story, and to meet those people is amazing.
For sure. And I always get rave reviews from a lot of your clients that will email our team. And a lot of times Katie or Elise or somebody will pass those over, just raving about how great their consult with you went. So you're doing a great job helping a lot of people.
Yeah.
And excited to do this Q&A with you.
Yeah. So should we get started?
Let's do it. All
right. Well, the first question that we have on here, as you mentioned, is from Little Voice on YouTube, and she is asking tips for her diet, exercise, and fasting to help with menopause, weight gain, and then also the mood and energy.
Yeah, for sure. So a lot of times women, as they go through menopause, they start to have trouble losing weight, right? And there's a number of reasons for that. And one major one is just really stress in general, right? Stress wears down our ability to burn fat, causes some hormonal imbalances, right? Can cause higher amounts of cortisol. You can get lower levels of progesterone. Cortisol and progesterone have the same backbone. It's called pregnenolone. And so when we're making progesterone, we take DHEA, which is kind of this backbone steroid compound, and we bring it down a pathway. And the first conversion is to pregnenolone and then to progesterone. But pregnenolone can also turn into cortisol. So cortisol is our stress hormone that helps keep blood sugar elevated, because, if we're in a situation where we are in fight or flight, we need higher blood sugar so we can create energy very quickly without the presence of oxygen. So when we're under stress, we're telling our body, okay, we need blood sugar higher. We need more of this cortisol. So if we're under a lot of stress, then we can end up causing higher amounts of cortisol, lower amounts of progesterone. Progesterone really helps with fat burning, also really important for mood, really helps calm, balance the mood for a female. And so as they're going into menopause, they're already losing estrogen and progesterone levels. And so if they're under stress, they can get too steep a drop in progesterone, which can cause a lot of issues with mood, and also can cause issues with weight loss as well. So different things that we can do there. Well, certainly, really dialing in the diet. So trying to get a blood sugar stabilizing diet is very good on helping balance your adrenals and helping you balance and become more resilient to stress. So we always prioritize a lot of healthy proteins, grass-fed animal products, healthy fats, avocados, olives, olive oil, extra virgin olive oil, coconut oil, different things like that, all really, really good. Lots of dark green leafy vegetables, and just in general, lots of, vegetables, low glycemic fruit like berries, can all be really, really helpful and great part of the nutrition plan. So that's always great. Also implementing some intermittent fasting. And a lot of times we'll start with like a 12 to 14 hour fast overnight. So if you finish dinner at 7 p.m., you fast till, let's say, 9 a.m. the next morning before you eat anything. You hydrate your body really well. And then we can actually push it out. And we may do 16 hours or 18 hours, and kind of gradually lean into that and see how your body responds to it. And then trying to consume either two large meals, or for some people, they're not able to consume those large meals. So 3 meals, no snacks, but 3 meals, 3 good solid meals in that, 8-hour or 10-hour eating window. Or if we can even compress it to 6 hours, we can still sneak 3 meals in there. So you get the calories that you need, but you also have a good fasting window so your body can cleanse, heal, regenerate. And that's always really important. And that really helps with fat burning, getting that insulin down, right? So important. Obviously, modulating stress, helping with deep breathing, nasal breathing. We have a great article on our website on nasal breathing and the importance of that. So many people are mouth breathers, right? And that stimulates more of a sympathetic fight or flight response. So really watching how you're breathing. There's a lot of different breathing exercises as well. We have some good articles on different ways of breathing to help reduce stress, help balance out your blood sugar levels, help you sleep more effectively, help calm anxiety. So there's a lot of things you can do there. Really prioritizing good sleep is so important. So getting the stress under control, moving your body, right? Good quality exercise, getting out, walking, running, doing some sprint intervals, maybe if you're able to. Weightlifting. This is something that's often forgotten, especially as women get older. They're not doing any sort of weightlifting. And that's so important, doing resistance training. You don't have to go and, bench press 200 pounds. You can just go in a gym or something like that and do the machines, do the Nautilus machines. That can be easy on the joints, but you want something that's intense, that really challenges your body. So you need something that's very challenging to stimulate your lean body mass, right? To stimulate muscle development. And that will help with fat burning and creating more blood sugar and insulin balance in your body. So we really want to build muscle. You could do, body weight exercises at home, squats, lunges, push-ups, things like that. All really, really great. And you can modify these. If you're having trouble doing, if you can't do a full push-up, you do it on your knees. And the further you bring your knees back towards your toes, the more resistance there is, the more of your upper body that you're having to push up. So exercise, super critical. Those are some good foundation points that we want to get, really focused in on. And then there's obviously a lot of other things. Tara, what's on your mind with this topic?
Yeah. I think those are all really great ways to help through menopause and just support women through menopause. I was just thinking on staying super hydrated, because sometimes you can think that you're hungry when you're actually thirsty, or you have these food cravings of salt when you can just stay hydrated. And one strategy I like to teach women with hydration is getting up in the morning and getting 32 ounces right in the morning, first off. I think women in menopause do really well on fasting. younger women or leaner women sometimes can struggle through that, but it seems like as you move into the menopause era that it's easier to do fasting and extended fasting, and that can be beneficial for weight loss. Loading up on veggies, it doesn't end when you're young, it's good for everybody, but especially during the time of menopause, to get all the trace minerals. You can get lots of lettuce and greens are still great through this time. And then also, like you said, good fats. And sometimes you may need ideas on that. And that's coconut oil and olive oil. Avocados are one of my favorites. I like to add avocados to everything. And then also, I think omega-3 is important when you're older, or fish oil for a nutritional strategy. And then, like you mentioned, exercise. Exercise is great because it helps with weight loss. It helps with stress reduction, which is what you're talking about. And then also it helps with your bone health as you get older, which is such an important aspect. And so, yeah, I think all of these work together to help you feel good through your menopause era.
Yeah, totally. I'm with you there, Tara. And again, going back to that idea of resistance training, a lot of women, their idea of exercise is they're going to go take a walk every day. And that's good. You definitely want to do that. That's great movement. That's very stress reducing. And, getting a certain amount of steps is going to help you burn a certain amount of calories, but it's not really going to help you build lean body tissue. And that's what you want, is getting more of that stimulus to help improve muscle strength, tendon, your ligaments, and bones, right? And so that's going to come when you're doing some sort of resistance training. That's when you're going to get the best benefit. So I would definitely incorporate that. And tying that into to fasting, I really like it kind of at the end of the fast. So if you're doing a 16-hour fast, and let's say you break your fast at 10 a.m. every morning, 9 a.m. is a great time for that exercise, doing that resistance training, and then break it right afterwards with a good quality meal. I'm also a fan, especially if you're looking to lose weight, build muscle, which, for most of us should be our goal, or at least, supporting our lean body tissue. You may not want to lose weight if you're already very lean, but to do that, one of the best things is lots of protein, right? So I recommend a minimum of of basically half your body weight. So if you weigh, 160 pounds, right, you want to get at least 80 grams of protein in your diet. And 80 grams, for some people, they think, well, that seems like a lot, but there's 4 calories per gram of protein. So it's really only 320 calories. Most people are consuming around 2,000 calories a day. So you think about that, it's not really that much. I mean, that's, not even 20% of your calories. So I'm actually a fan of getting closer to 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. Now, of course, if you are 300 pounds, I wouldn't worry about that. You're really more looking at your lean body tissue, right? So if you are 300 pounds, but you're 40% body weight, or body fat, I should say, 40% body fat, then, cut that in half, and you're roughly looking at about 150 grams of protein, right? And you can kind of obviously space that out throughout the day, so 3 meals, so 50 grams per meal. But protein is going to rev up your metabolism a little bit more as far as the actual thermal effect of breaking it down, which is really good. It's very, very satiating. So you'll have less carb cravings when you're doing that. And, it's obviously preserving your lean body tissue. So when your body is looking for more fuel because you're at a calorie deficit, then it's going to preserve your lean body tissue, your muscle and your bone, and it's going to look to burn fat as your primary energy source. So getting enough protein is so critical. And then you kind of round it out with, like you talked about, your non-starchy vegetables there, your healthy fats, things like that. So when it comes to your macros, I think the most important one to really focus on is your protein. And then you just avoid the real high carb types of foods, right? So your root vegetables, you minimize those. You may not avoid them altogether, but no more than 1 serving a day of your root vegetables. You stay off of grains and sugars. Okay. And then, you round out your diet. You got the protein in there. You make sure you've got some fat. Usually I'm recommending something like 30 grams of fat per meal. So that would get you around 90. If you're eating 3 meals, 90 to 100 grams in a day, which is roughly around, there's 9 calories per gram of fat. So it's roughly around 900 to 1,000 calories of fat. So if you had 150 grams of protein, that's going to be 600 calories, right? So 600 calories of protein, let's say 1,000 grams of fat, you're at 1,600 calories right there. Let's say you get another 200 from carbs, okay, 50 grams of carbs or so, 200 grams. So you're on 1,800 calories. And then you may, especially if you're exercising, may be burning 2,000, 2,500 calories, and you're preserving that lean body tissue. And now you're going to start burning through your fat, right? And that's kind of the idea there. So get the protein up, look at around 30 grams of fat or so per meal. And, you should be in a good place there.
Yeah, I feel like there's so much we could speak into this topic, but how would you feel about?
Could be all we do, right?
I know this is such a great topic, but how about tips for helping with edema in legs?
Yeah, so edema, when you have edema, it means swelling in your legs. A lot of people get it kind of in their calves or leg area, right? And it can have to do with, oftentimes a kidney issue, could be a vein issue where your veins are not able to kind of get the blood flow back up, like the valves are breaking down. So they've lost some of their structural integrity. And now you've got, basically extracellular fluid kind of building up, as well as blood kind of pooling and not moving as well up through the circulatory system. And so again, kidneys are a really big factor with this. So I think kidneys, veins, and lymphatic system, and they all kind of work together. And so some things that you can definitely do, dry brushing is great. So just taking a soft bristle brush, dry brushing from your feet towards your heart, right? So up your legs. Dry brushing is great. Epsom salt baths can be really helpful, getting a little bit more magnesium in there, sulfate, which comes in from the Epsom salt. So that can be really, really helpful. Keeping your blood sugar stable. One of the biggest things that damages your kidneys and your veins is basically these glycemic end products, these advanced glycemic end products. So high blood sugar is like shrapnel going through your kidneys, going through your bloodstream, really damages your blood vessels as well as your kidneys. So getting your blood sugar and your insulin levels under control from a nutrition perspective, exercise perspective, like we talked about to start the show, is super important, right? So really dialing that in is very, very critical here. Some other things that can help, just moving in general. So walking or, using a vibration platform, if you have access to that, can be very helpful. A lot of times people will get this if they're standing for long periods of time, just in one place. So moving around, like a cashier, for example, a cashier at a grocery store, a lot of the older cashiers really start to suffer with this. So, just taking breaks from time to time, just moving around, stretching your legs, things like that, making sure you've got kind of like a soft, almost like a cushion under your feet can be helpful as well. So there's a little bit less impact coming back up. That can be helpful. And you can also get like a certain type of like lymphatic massage as well, where it's kind of pushing things through the lymphatic system, pushing fluid through the lymphatic system, veins, different areas like that. All of that's really, really important. Tara, what else comes to your mind?
Yeah, I had a lot of the same thoughts, but also movement is really important. Setting for long periods of times. You mentioned, standing, but then also if you have a desk type job, then also that making sure you're taking breaks to stand and stretch, and then also optimal hydration and optimal electrolytes. And for some people that can mean reducing sodium, but I would say optimal hydration and electrolytes. And then also I also love lymphatic drainage support through dry brushing. Lots of women don't know about this, and then once they try it, they love it. And so this can be really beneficial. And why not have an excuse to get a massage on your legs, and just making sure that your legs aren't have any open sores or wounds. And then of course, as we talk about on this show and echoing throughout the community, is finding the root cause of the edema. And so is it kidney health? That we see that a lot. Is it vascular support, heart disease? And so all of these chronic illnesses are usually edema secondary to. And so working on those first.
For sure. And some of the best herbs for kidneys, things like parsley. So you can do parsley tea. Dandelion is very good for kidneys and liver as well. So dandelion is great. Horsetail is another really good one when it comes to kidney health. Let's see, what else am I thinking of? Burdock is another good one for lymphatics as well as kidney. So those are all really good ones. And you can find herbal teas that are kind of associated with kidneys that you can drink the herbal tea. You can take supplements. I know we've got plant-based kidney health, a great little liquid supplement on our website that a lot of people use when they have issues like this and see really good results. We also have a lymphatic complete product that's very good for helping support the lymphatic system, right? Helping move things through the lymphatics and supporting the immune system. So those would be some good supportive products, but really the foundation is going to be getting that blood sugar stable, getting your body moving properly. I'd say almost everybody I've seen that has edema in their legs has insulin resistance. I personally have never seen it with somebody who didn't have insulin resistance, and I've probably seen it in about 30 or 40 people that I've taken care of. And they always had insulin resistance. And as we started to balance their blood sugar, get them moving properly, get them on the right diet, intermittent fasting. And of course, we throw in, some herbs to help support the lymphatics, things like that. They typically always get better. And so it's definitely something you can get better from. But, the foundation is really getting that blood sugar and insulin levels under control, getting your inflammation levels under control. So that's super key.
Yeah. Those are great. Let's see. Our next question here is, if you eat more than 2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight to gain weight, will you sacrifice cellular aging?
Yeah, I love this question because I just talked about how I like at least half your body weight. So about your body weight in pounds per grams of protein, and really close to your own lean body mass in grams per protein. So for me, I'm 170 pounds. And I'm about, 8 to 10% body fat or so. So for me, I'm roughly, close to 150 pounds of lean body mass. And that's really where I try to be with protein, is somewhere in that range on a day-to-day basis. And typically I'm actually consuming more protein than that. And the way that I'm able to buffer, because if you do consume too much protein, okay, it is possible to ramp up your mTOR pathway. So your mammalian target of rapamycin, and that's been studied. And when that is hyperactive, the mTOR pathway is a building pathway in the body. So it tells cells to replicate, it's rebuilding cells. When it's hyperactive, meaning that it never has a chance to turn off, it's associated with too much cell division, cell mutation, can increase your risk of accelerated aging, cancer, degenerative conditions, neurodegenerative conditions like Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, things like that. So protein, the two major drivers of mTOR are going to be too much carbs, high insulin, and too much protein, right? Too many branched chain amino acids in particular, like leucine, which are muscle growth amino acids. They signal muscle growth. Too much of that in our bloodstream all the time, right? And so the way that I'm able to buffer following a high protein diet, but reducing my cellular aging, is through intermittent fasting. This is how you do it. So I consume a lot of protein, but I'm consuming it most days in a 6-hour eating window. So I usually will eat my first meal somewhere between 1 and 2 p.m. and my last meal somewhere between 6 and 7 p.m., right? So I'm usually done eating by 7 p.m. and I don't start eating till at least 1 p.m. the next day. And so because of that, I've got 18 hours where I'm not eating. My insulin gets low. I don't have all these circulating branched chain amino acids in my bloodstream, and I'm able to suppress that mTOR pathway. So it's not hyperactive. So the way that you make it hyperactive is the way a bodybuilder eats, right? Or like an infant. Think about an infant, they're growing really fast. What do they need? They can't even go through the night without eating, right? So they're waking up every 3 or 4 hours. They have to have another feeding. And that's because, they have very small stomachs. They need constant nutrition. And then also they're growing rapidly. So they need this mTOR pathway turned on constantly. And so a bodybuilder that's trying to put on the most amount of muscle mass will eat oftentimes, 16 hours, if not more, throughout the day. Like the moment they wake up to the moment they go to bed, every 2 to 3 hours are consuming food. Some of them have even admitted that they'll wake up in the middle of the night and eat food, right? Because they don't want to go more than 3 or 4 hours without food. They feel like they're going to lose muscle mass. So they are prioritizing one thing, and that is building muscle. And they are sacrificing healthy aging. And that's not healthy. That's an athlete doing what they need to do to compete at a high level, but they are sacrificing their health, just like a football player going out and getting hit and having collisions and hitting their head is not good for their health, right? They're not doing that for their health. They're doing that to compete, perform, and if they're professional, make a living. And so basically you can follow a high protein diet, but consolidate it into a tight eating window and have a nice long fasting window. I would recommend 16 to 18 hours on most days. I don't think you need to do it every day, although if you feel good doing that every day, it can be really beneficial for you. But doing that on a regular basis is very, very healthy. And then this is the secret key. If you're able to do 1 day a week where you do a 20 to 24-hour fast, right? No protein, no calories, you extend it out just a little bit longer than you normally do, your body will get even higher level of cleanup, autophagy, ramp down that mTOR pathway, and really help with your anti-aging characteristics, right? Really help break down damaged proteins. We have too much mTOR, too much insulin. We're creating a lot of damaged proteins in our system. When we dial that back and we fast for a longer period of time, let's say 24 hours, we're able to clean up a lot of these damaged proteins, repair them, or regenerate new proteins in the cell, create new proteins in the cell that are healthier, younger, and more stress resilient. And that's really the key. And you may also, depending on your comfort level and where you're at and how quickly you want to heal, you may also consider a 3 or 5 day fast, especially if you are comfortable doing a 24-hour fast, if that's not a big deal. Extending it out even longer, doing a 3 or 5 day water fast, let's say doing it every quarter, can be a really powerful way to slow down the aging process and enhance your cellular healing.
Yeah, that's so great. And I think the key here is balance, because you need adequate amounts of protein, especially if you do have a goal of gaining weight or gaining lean muscle mass, but then also balancing that with fasting and balancing that with choosing the right kinds of meats as well, making sure that they are organic fed or organic meats, grass fed. And so maybe it's the whole balancing act of choosing the quality and then the correct quantity based off of your goals. So if you don't have, maybe you're listening and you do not want to look like a Hulk, then you need maybe around 1 gram of protein per kilogram. And so not that 2 grams with the goal of gaining, being Hulk. So anything else to add to that?
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
we really
You mentioned quality. I mean, quality is super key, so just making sure you're keeping out toxins, right? And that's really the goal of the way that we teach nutrition is we want to maximize nutrients and minimize toxins while balancing our blood sugar and insulin levels. And so if you're consuming, a lot of commercial raised animal products, that could accelerate your aging process, not because of the protein, but because of the toxins, the glyphosate and the different pesticides and herbicides that are bioaccumulated in that animal food, right? That can do it. Also, if you are, char grilling it, right, to where it's got like blackened areas on the meat, that right there is, those are what we call heterocyclic amines. You're creating something called acrylamide, which can drive up more inflammation. So if you ever do that, we always recommend, in general, if you're cooking meat at a high temperature, it's always best to marinate it in like a good extra virgin olive oil, maybe lemon juice or like an organic red wine or apple cider vinegar or something like that. So you've got antioxidants, you've got like the polyphenols, and extra virgin olive oil will help protect, um, you know, acrylamide formation and heterocyclic amine formation on the meat. So that's key. And then, when you're grilling, things like that, you want to do your best to avoid creating a lot of these kind of blackened areas. All right. So I prefer, like, I enjoy grilling outdoors in like a charcoal grill, but I don't eat that often. Like, I don't do that often. I typically will do like a stainless steel pan, put a lot of butter or, coconut oil or something like that, or olive oil on the pan, and cook it up, and usually at like a medium temperature, and just kind of let it cook longer to so that it's fully cooked. But I make sure that it doesn't have like all these blackened areas, right? So I think that's a key part of this. And marinating it can be really key as well. So you're getting the right types of protein. I think that's key, with minimal amount of toxins. But again, protein is probably your most important macronutrient. It's the one that I really emphasize and focus on. I used to focus a lot more on fat. Now I've realized really it's about protein. Protein is going to have the biggest effect. So yeah, somewhere between 1 gram per kilogram to 2 grams per kilogram. And you can tinker around and see where you feel best, where you feel most satiated. If you're noticing that you're having a lot more cravings, things like that, you may need more protein. Okay. So you can play around with that, and kind of tinkering that, and then letting the fat kind of come in along with it, kind of keeping it in that 30, maybe 40 grams per meal range. You should be able to find a good zone where you're able to really burn fat effectively. And again, applying the intermittent fasting strategies, be able to keep your cells healing and young and really thriving.
Yeah, I've noticed that for myself. I can really feel good when I include protein with every meal, and then at the right amounts. And I'm sure some people are super excited that you said, let's cook our meat in butter. So
Yeah. Yeah. There you go. Some good fat. And we recommend
yeah,
grass-fed butter, ideally, if you're able to access that. But butter is one of the most nutrient dense foods, tons of conjugated linoleic acid in it. You got omega-3s if they're pasture fed. You also have vitamin A, retinol. You've got vitamin E, right? You've got vitamin D in there, K2. So all your fat soluble nutrients in there, choline, which is really good for your brain, as well as your liver, gallbladder. So a lot of key nutrients in butter that make it really, really helpful. But ideally, we're getting pasture raised butter.
yes, always, or ghee, or
Yeah,
avocado oil is
for
another
sure.
great one too.
Speaking of that, I know we don't have too much longer. Let's go into those
Okay,
questions, because we got a lot of questions about eggs. And
okay,
to lead into those questions, I posted an article on social media with Easter. I like to call it Resurrection Sunday, because that's what I focus on, not the Easter
yeah,
bunny. But with Easter, it's about eggs, right? And spring is like a new birth, right? And so I put an article on the health benefits of eggs, and there was a ton of comments and controversy on eggs. And so some of the questions we included in this Q&A. So Tara, I'll let you take it from there.
yeah, yeah. So these question is from Michael on Facebook, and he says a lot of people. Oh wait. Yeah, a lot of people say eggs cause autoimmunity and feed viruses. Is this true? And who should or should not consume eggs?
Yeah, this is an important question. There is a popular author out there that has talked about how eggs like basically increase your risk of viruses, and there's just really no research on that. And there's a lot of people that really thrive eating eggs on a regular basis. And we look at eggs themselves, they're extremely nutrient dense. Some of the most nutrient dense foods you can put in your body. A lot of the same benefits I talked about with butter, we also find in eggs. Conjugated linoleic acid, which is great for your metabolism, helps you burn fat better, great for your immune system. There's anti-carcinogenic effects or anti-cancer effects from conjugated linoleic acid. You've got vitamin A. That's what actually gives the yolk like a yellow or orange color. In fact, when you see it, the more orange the yolk, which you'll find in like more pasture raised eggs, where they're eating more grass and from soil that's really nutrient dense, it'll become more orange. And that's more of this fat soluble retinol, which, when we think about carrots, we get, beta carotene, but beta carotene is not true vitamin A. True vitamin A is something called retinol. And that we concentrate in our eyes, for example, the retina. Okay. Also great for the brain, great for the immune system in the gut. So we get tons of that in the egg yolk. Vitamin D, vitamin K2, choline again. So important for brain health. Phosphatidylcholine, phosphatidylserine in there as well. Really great for the brain and all the cell membranes in our cells. I mean, eggs, it's also got a complete protein. From a nutrition perspective, eggs are actually, with the yolk, the perfect food. However, here's a caveat. There's a lot of people out there that have immune reactivity to eggs, meaning that when they eat eggs, their immune system gets activated and starts to attack its own tissue, increases inflammation. And that's because their immune system is imbalanced and it is dysfunctional, right? And this is because they have leaky gut. So when we have leaky gut, large food particles will seep through the gut, get into the bloodstream, drive up inflammation in the body. So if you have leaky gut, you have a higher risk. No, not everybody. Some people with leaky gut do great with eggs, but you have a higher risk of having issues with eggs. And typically you're not producing enough stomach acid, enough bile, right, to break it down. And that's kind of part of the foundation of how somebody gets leaky gut is they have a lot of stress. They're not producing enough digestive juices to really metabolize the food that's coming in. They end up with bacterial infections in their gut or parasitic infections because stomach acid and bile are part of the defense against these sort of infections. And then it just drives up inflammation in the gut, and they're continually hampered in their ability to actually break down food. They get more damage to the gut lining gets opened up, and now large food particles that are not digested well are ending up in the bloodstream. And eggs tend to trigger an immune reaction, partly because there's protein in eggs called albumin that's also in our blood. And so sometimes there's kind of like a mistaking process or a molecular mimicry process that takes place. There's other theories as well. A lot of vaccines, for example, have egg albumin in them. And vaccines, the whole goal of the vaccine is to create an inflammatory process, right? And so sometimes the immune system may target, that egg albumin as, part of this antigen, right? That was in this vector, this viral vector that was in the vaccine, right? That happened to be encased in this egg albumin. And so that's one of the theories as well. So there's different ideas, but we know leaky gut's involved. So again, to summarize that, because I know I went through a lot, eggs are an amazing, powerful food. However, if your immune system's reacting poorly to them, your body, they're not going to be good for you. And that's where like the statement that one man's superfood may be another man's poison, right? And so we always have to realize that it's part of the bioidentical nutrition process, just really understanding the unique elements of each individual.
Absolutely. I work with a lot of people, and particularly women who have autoimmune diseases, and a lot of them, eggs can be one of the ones that trigger some food sensitivities. And so for them, a lot of times having a test, and we offer some testing for food sensitivities, can be so empowering because then they can know which foods they are able to eat with and not cause any damage to their body, and to not have those negative reactions of bloating or gas or even like burning feet. And so, but yeah, eggs have great benefits as well. I mean, you mentioned choline, and that's another great source that you can't get in a lot of other foods, and great for brain health. And we also are doing genetic testing, and that has great information on your nutritional needs and how well you process choline, salts, and some other nutrition. So yeah, so I would say as a wrap up that the eggs are great, but that if you do have some food sensitivities, then maybe consider some testing or working to figure out journaling, maybe pulse testing to see what those are for you.
Yeah, that's great. And typically when people do have autoimmunity, usually we'll put them on an elimination diet to begin with. I know, Tara, when you're working with people, you do that. And oftentimes we'll take eggs out, at least for the first month or so, because they are a common reactive food that people have, immune reactive food. And so we want to get their body healing. So we take that out and then gradually add that back in. But again, you can self-monitor for that. Just like Tara said, there's pulse testing. There's a lot of different ideas. We have those on our website. If you look up food sensitivities, food sensitivity testing, we have a lot of different options between at-home biofeedback tests as well as lab tests.
Yeah. Yeah. So do you have any thoughts on the best way to cook eggs? Because Michael also
Yeah.
wants to know, okay, we know they're good for us. How should we cook them?
Yeah. Best way to cook them. You want to keep that yolk as intact as possible. So in the egg white, you have biotin inhibitor. In the egg yolk, you have biotin. So people used to eat egg whites because they were afraid of, cholesterol in the egg yolk. We know that's not an issue at all. The egg yolk is where the nutrients are, but there's an enzyme, biotin inhibitor, that is in the egg white. So when you cook it, you actually cook it out. And so I am a huge fan of poached eggs, like soft boiled style eggs, where you kind of have a runny yolk, or sunny side up. That's how I like to do my eggs. Typically just sunny side up, cook them in butter, tallow, beef tallow, something like that I have around, and eat them sunny side up with that yolk slightly runny. I get the most nutrient density that way with the least amount of, anti-nutrients that's in it as well. And it tastes great, right? Tastes better than eating raw egg, right? So
Yeah. Yeah, I love this. So eggs got such a bad name. They were sort of evil for a while with cholesterol. So we've cleared that up. They are good for us. And there's so many ways you can cook eggs. So maybe just not from a nutritional standpoint, but from a taste standpoint, you can cook them any time of day. I feel like, they're good for dinner. They're good in omelets. And there's lots of ways to eat them on like a ketogenic diet, and other, anti-inflammatory diets they're great to fit into your nutrition strategies.
yeah, great. Do we have any other questions with eggs? I thought there was like a few.
There is a question on what is the best type of eggs to get: cage-free,
Oh, right.
omega-free, or organic?
Yeah, this is important too. I'm glad we're doing like a deep dive on eggs here.
Yeah.
So basically the best one to get is going to be pasture raised. Okay. Ideally pasture raised. And if you get pasture raised organic, that's even better. What that means is that the farm was certified, USDA certified organic. Okay. Which is expensive to get done, but at least, okay, they're not using any of these chemicals, toxic fertilizers, different things like that. Pasture raised basically means that the birds have access to free pasture. And so if they're on grass, if the chickens are on grass, they're going to eat some of that. They're going to eat weeds. They're going to eat worms. They're going to eat things like that, which is kind of their native diet. If you just get organic or just cage free, they're typically feeding them grains. Now, organic means that, there's at least the grains are organic, whatever they're feeding them, corn, soy, different things like that. At least it's organic. So you don't have the glyphosate and different chemicals on it. So they're lower toxin. However, they may not be as nutrient dense as a pasture raised. Okay. Cage free really doesn't mean much other than because they can still be in like, just a commercial farm, just not stuck in a cage. Right. So a little bit less, maybe a little less cruel. I mean, you don't even know the environment fully. And so there's, I don't know that there's a big difference between cage free and just your regular commercial eggs. Depends on the farm, right? Depends on the farm you're getting in, what cage free means to them. However, there is a difference between organic and cage free, and there's a difference between pasture raised. And so ideally looking for the pasture raised organic is even better because, for sure, that they're not using chemicals, things like that. So that would be kind of like the gold standard. That's what I try to look for. I know there's Vital Farms, which has really good eggs that are in a lot of grocery stores. They also have really good grass-fed butter, Vital Farms. That's a great brand. There's also a new one that we started getting that I feel like the yolk is just so much darker orange. It's called Happy Hen. Happy Hen pasture raised eggs. If you're following me on like Instagram, a lot of times I'll take pictures of the food that I'm getting, when I'm grocery shopping, or, if I'm making we'll do videos where I'm making eggs with my kids or something like that. And I'll show you what brand I'm using. And lately it's been Happy Hen because the yolk is just so orange. So it's so rich in retinol and different nutrients in there. So, and that's pasture raised. So that's really the best approach there. There's also like omega-3 eggs, which I don't recommend because typically what they're doing is they're feeding them flaxseed, but usually it's like really flaxseed that's more rancid. And so they're saying, oh, okay, we can sell this for more if we give them some flaxseed in their grain, meal that they're consuming, because that's going to increase the amount of omega-3s. But that number one, that's not necessarily true. Number two is you don't know the quality of that flaxseed. So it could actually be causing more oxidative stress in that animal. So I don't recommend the omega-3. I think this is all marketing gimmicks, cage-free, not necessarily, but definitely a difference between the pasture raised and the organic. So if you can't find pasture raised, look for organic.
Absolutely. We are fortunate. We have a farmer that we, just go and get eggs from. And so they are bright orange. And if you've ever cracked two, like maybe just some conventional white eggs next to these, I mean, it's like they're so pale in difference. And so, and the taste is a lot better as well. And so we feel good in our family just knowing that those chickens were taken care of the way they were supposed to, and they were fed things that we would want to eat, and not a lot of corn or omega-6 heavy in the feed that they feed animals. So that's the most important thing to consider.
That is the most important thing. And you brought up white eggs, and so that's a common question too, just as a final follow-up. A lot of people ask, what's healthier, white egg or brown egg? And actually neither one, just based off the color. People used to think it was the brown, but it's actually just a different breed of chicken. Again, it goes back to what is a chicken eating? If the chicken that's laying the white egg is eating pasture and worms and stuff like that, and the brown is eating, conventional corn and soy, then the white egg is a lot healthier. So it's really about what the animal's eating, not off the color of the shell.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, cool, Tara. Yeah. I think that should wrap us up for today. That was a lot of good questions.
So, yeah. I love that we were able to talk about eggs during springtime, and it's been really great.
Yeah. We needed to get on that because a lot of people were asking questions about eggs, and, the reality is that eggs, again, are great food, but if you're having immune reactivity, then, you want to avoid them. And so hopefully you guys got a lot out of this Q&A. If you were looking for an amazing health coach, definitely check Tara out. You can find her coaching page on our website if you just look up under the coaching tab. You can also email her directly at Tara, Tara, at drjockers.com. If you have questions or you're interested in coaching, she'd be happy to help. And Tara, what's kind of some of the clients? What are, what kind of clients do you really enjoy working with?
Oh, I love clients who are ready to change. They're ready to meet with me and to tell me their story, and then that we can just dive into how to meet the goals that they have. And so I meet with a lot of different types of people. I love that we get to meet so many people. And so, the person who's ready to change.
That's right. So if your mindset is ready, you're ready for lifestyle change, you're ready to do whatever it takes to get healthy and well, Tara is a wonderful health coach that will really take you by the hand and walk you through the process of it. So check her out again, Tara at drjockers.com. Again, guys, if you have other questions, go on to this YouTube video and ask them under the video, the Q&A videos. I go back to those whenever we're looking for questions for the future Q&As. So do that. You can also post questions on, different posts on Instagram, on Facebook, and we're looking for those, putting them all in a chart and going through those with these Q&As. So thanks so much for your participation. Thank you for being a part of our community. We'll see you guys in a future show. Be blessed, everybody.